Hey, what's going on? Happy July 4th weekend. And for the July 4th weekend, I thought I'd do an album ranking of one of my favorite American bands, arguably the greatest American progressive rock band, and that's the ranking today of Kansas. I'm going to rank all 15 proper studio albums. They do have an album from the 90s that's kind of considered a studio album, I guess, but it's really reworkings of former songs. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to include the live album, the two for the show, and some other live albums like Live at the Whiskey. I'm just going to do the 15 proper studio albums. This is a band formed in 1973 in Topeka, Kansas. And it's a band that's still going strong today, even though they've had lineup changes. And we'll talk about all the different lineup changes. My ranking videos are pretty in-depth and pretty long, so we're going to get started here. There really isn't a bad album. Maybe a couple that, I'm basically ranking them in order of what I would grab for and reach for, and what order I would do that. We all know that there's favorite albums and least favorite albums. I don't think any of these albums are terrible, but let's get started on number 15, ranking from my least favorite to my favorites. I'm going to go with 1988's In the Spirit of Things, okay? This is the record. This is the second album that features Steve Morse on guitar. Of course, Steve Morse was in the Dixie Dregs. And then he ends up going on to Deep Purple. He's in the band from 86 to like 90. This is their 11th album. It's a 52-minute album. It came out in October of 1988. It is their last album with MCA. Some people call it MCA the graveyard of rock labels in the 80s. They dropped people like Kansas after this album. They dropped Triumph. They dropped Night Ranger. And they put their money in bands like Tiffany. This is produced by Bob Ezrin, Greg Delaney, and Phil Ehart. Again, 11th album. And it's a loosely based concept record about a flood in a town in Kansas called Neosho Falls. The problem is only a few of the songs are really about that concept. It's really silly. The first song is called Ghost, written by Ezrin, Morse, and Steve Walsh. By the way, Steve Walsh is now back in the band. This is his second album after returning. It's a decent opener. It sounds like a soundtrack. Kind of a desert sound. Doesn't really sound like Kansas. Doesn't sound like Kansas. The next song, One Big Sky, written by Howard Kleinfeld and Michael Dan Emming. Again, MCA is asking them to use outside songwriters. And the songs that they're getting from the outside aren't very good. One Big Sky has nothing to do with the concept, and it's not inspiring. Inside of Me, another Walsh and Morse song, a little bit better, but doesn't feel like Kansas. Morse is, wasted on this album. Steve Morse is one of the great guitar players in rock history. He doesn't really play on this album very much. Sounds like a song off of like a 90s animation movie. Like some sort of animated movie soundtrack. It's terrible. One Man, One Heart, Mark Shapiro, Dan Huff song. Again, did I miss a Rocky movie that didn't come out in the 80s where this could have been a fitness motivational scene part in a workout scene in a Rocky movie? That's what it sounds like. They're going for an anthem. One Main Heart, Standing in the Flame. Does not work for me. House on Fire is next. Nice energy here. Again, nothing to do with the concept of this record. So the first song has something to do with the concept of this flood in Neosho, Kansas in the 1951. But then there's 4 straight songs that have nothing to do with it. House on Fire is Walsh, Ezrin, Phil Ehart, and Steve Walsh and Morse. Once in a Lifetime is next. Antonia Amato, Dennis Morgan, and Albert Hammond. Again, they're going for a hit here. Sounds like a soundtrack ballad. Make this stop. And we are. I Counted on Love, Walsh Morris. I'm not surprised they got dropped by their major label here. The Preacher, then, the third track on side 2, gets back to the concept. It's okay. Ezrin, Morris, Walsh. Should have been the second song on the album instead of the third song on side 2, because it's pretty solid. The Rainmakers next. Again, that could have been the second or third song on the album too, because now we're back to the concept. Walsh, Morris, Ezrin. To Witcher is an instrumental, 1 minute 39-second kind of throwaway instrumental acoustic piece by Walsh. It doesn't really make sense here. And then Bells of St. James is the last song. It's just not enough to save this album. Coming in at 14 is their second song with John Elefante, or their second album, Drastic Measures, from 1983. Sorry about not taking these out of the plastic, but first of all, just of a band that's got so many great album covers, this Drastic Measures album cover is absolutely terrible. I don't understand it. I don't even know who these guys are here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Drastic Measures is a better record than In the Spirit of Things. July of 83, 42 minutes. Their ninth album. CBS, this is their last record with CBS. Neil Kernan in Kansas produced it. Robbie Steinhardt has now left the band, so we're just down to no Steve Walsh. We got John Elefante on vocals. We still have Dave Hope, this is his last album. We have Phil Earhart, Rich Williams, and we have the great Kerry Livgren here still. Fight Fire with Fire is a song that I remember hearing as a kid. I always thought it was Steve Walsh singing. I didn't realize this John Elefante was singing in Kansas. Around this same time, 1984, a year after their Greatest Hits tape came out. I bought that Greatest Hits tape, and it was awesome. That's really my introduction into Kansas. My older brother, Dennis, though, was probably my first person to turn me on to Kansas. I remember him listening into the basement of our house to Kansas. And, of course, you couldn't escape songs like Dust in the Wind and Point of No Return back in the day. Drastic Measures, Fight Fire did hit the charts at 58. This is written with him, John Elefante, and his brother Dino. It's a great song, I think. Everybody's My Friend is next. This is their second single, released in November of 83. It's Just Okay. It's also a Dino and John song. Doesn't really sound like Kansas. Mainstream is next. It's a Kerry Livgren song. Sounds like a Night Ranger song to me. It's 6 minutes and 36 seconds. Kerry's maybe criticizing the band for sounding too mainstream. Andy is next. It's a John Elefante song. John would go on to produce Christian rock bands like Petra and have a great career. This is John's last album with the band. Kind of a cool bridge, but again, it's just okay. Get Rich, another Dino and John Elefante song. Electric drum sounds. You got one of the great drummers in the world. Why do you need electric drums? Amongst the worst Kansas songs ever is Get Rich. Don't Take Your Love Away, another Dino and John song. Hate this song. No wonder Kerry Livgren and Dave Hope left the band. End of the Age is a Livgren song. Sounds more like Kansas. 80 production with synths that make this sound dated. I highlight this only because it's halfway decent. And the last song is Incident on a Bridge. It's another Livgren song. It's just not that good. It's more progressive, but it's kind of a mess. Coming in at 13 is the comeback album with Steve Walsh, and it's the Power album. This is the first album to feature Steve Morse. Of course, we got Steve Walsh back, We're introducing Billy Greer on bass, who came over from Steve Walsh's solo band, Streets. And of course, Richard William and Phil Ehart still here. This is a much better record than what comes after, which is In the Spirit of Things, which we talked about. This came out in October of '86. Also MCA, their first record with MCA. It's only 39 minutes, which is a great length. Their 10th record. It hit 35 on the Billboard charts. It had a song called All I Wanted, which is a nice ballad. Probably the best song that Steve Morse and Steve Walsh wrote together. Silhouettes in Disguise sounds fresh. The band sounds rejuvenated here. More powerful mixture of keys, and Morris takes a sweet solo at the end of it. I like songs like We're Not Alone also anymore. It's a proper rock song, not that bad. Nice solo again by Morris in the bridge. Song rips at the end, one of the strongest of the era. That song, We're Not Gonna Be Alone, We're Not Alone Anymore, is a pretty solid song. Musicato is a nice instrumental. Again, a Morris Walsh song. Very cool, progressive. Morris rips again. Three Pretenders. Who are the Three Pretenders? Dave Hope, Kerry Livgren. I don't know. The guys that left the band. Robbie Steinhardt. Are they talking about them being the Three Pretenders? I don't know. It's a Greer, Walsh, and Moore song. Sounds a little bit like Survivor to me. Tomb 19 sounds inspired, solid album cut, but it's not too Kansas sounding. But for 1986, it works okay. Can't Cry Anymore. It's a really nice Steve Walsh sung song. I mean, Steve Walsh could sing, listings in the phone book, and it would sound great. A worthy effort here with Power. Coming in, though, at number 12, an album that I don't own. This came out in 1995, and this, again, features a return of violin. So David Ragsdale joins the band in 1990. By 1995, they put this out. So no album from 88 to 95. This is their 12th record. Jeff Glicksman is back. Jeff Glicksman is the producer for Left Overture, Songs of America, Point of No Return. This is on Inner Sound Records. It's 45 minutes. It's another terrible cover. What are they doing? Again, a band that in the 70s had incredible album covers. Later, as we'll go on, had some good album covers. Greg Roberts is also on keys. Again, David Ragsdale. Steve Morris is gone. And Ragsdale is doing some guitar work too. And it's leaving Rich Williams to do most of the heavy lifting. I Can Fly, Ragsdale Walsh songs, heavy. Violins welcomed back. Walsh's voice is starting to strain. And I'm not sure why he's pressing so hard on the gas to sing this hard when maybe he could just back up a little bit and not show the cracks in his voice. Desperate Times is a Walsh song. Great energy. Better than the opening song. The cool middle eighth section. There's a kick-ass Phil Ehart drum solo. Hope Once Again, another Walsh song, works as a mid-paced rock ballad. Feels fresh again. Violin solo was really pretty by Ragsdale. Ragsdale ends up replacing Robbie Steinhardt in the violin chair. He does a great job throughout his long career with the band. Black Fammoth 4 is next. Walsh and Ragsdale. It's a 6-minute song. Sounds like a leftover concept song from In the Spirit of Things. It would have worked on that album. Ragsdale rocks. Middle section again is great. Under the Knife, Walsh Ragsdale. 1995 is a weird time for all rock stars, and Kansas is trying to find their footing in the rock world in 1995. And, this is a nice album. Freaks of Nature, the title track's a barn burner. Everything comes together, high energy. Cold Gray Morning is a Kerry Livgren song. So Kerry Livgren's no longer in the band, but provides a song here for the band to play. I like this record quite a bit. Coming in at 11 is going to be Vinyl Confessions. So Steve Walsh leaves after the Audio Visions tour in 81. And he goes and does his thing, Streets, and in 1982, the band intact still, other than Walsh, brings on John Elefante. And they put out a pretty damn good record, and that's why it's coming in at 11 for me. Play the Game Tonight. What a great way to start off Elefante's career with the band. You know, I always thought that was Steve Walsh too. Livgren, Williams, Ehart, and Danny Flower and Rob Frazier write this song. It charts at number 17 on Billboard. Their highest since Dust in the Wind. Nice song. Right Away's next. It's Dino and John Elefante song. Decent enough. It was the second single, actually. And cool guitar outro by Rich Williams and Kerry Livgren. Fair Exchange is next. There's Livgren wrote this song. Warren Ham plays a harmonica solo. Why not a violin solo? Why have a harmonica solo by somebody that's not in the band? I don't get it. Some Christian messaging coming in. You know, Kerry Livgren's converted to Christianity. So is Dave Hope. And some of the elements of Christianity are coming in to the band. In fact, that's why Steve Walsh leaves, because he's turned off by some of that. Chasing Shadows, a John Dino Elefante song. I really like that. It's a piano ballad. It's a softball, but I like it. Diamonds and Pearls is next. It's a Livgren song. Almost has a Billy Joel thing to it. Piano kind of Billy Joel song. Hate the backing horns on it. There's horns on this. It's ambitious. It's overproduced. It's almost in Steely Dan territory. Roger Taylor from Queen does some backing vocals on that song. Flip the album over. You got a song called Face It, another Dino and John Elefante song. Piano, violin, pretty. Sounds like Zanzibar by Billy Joel a little bit, though. Elefante can sing his ass off. That's a big takeaway. Dig that song. Windows is next, the Kerry Livgren song. Classic Kansas, but a bit watered down classic Kansas sounding. I love the keys. Phil's great on drums, violin. Cool song. Really quite a great song. Borderline, Kerry Livgren. Love the production. Dave Hope on bass is killer. John Elefante's voice is so good on this record. Really good record. Anyway, Play On is next. Elefante Livgren. Love the song. Again, John is great. Wish that Kerry and John Elefante wrote more together. And then Crossfire from Livgren's next. Robbie Steinhardt sings it. Christianity in the lyrics. Dig it. It's a good place for 11 here. Number 10, we have the album that precedes it. It's Audio Visions. This is the last album to feature the classic lineup for some time, because they will come back in 2000 with a band with the original lineup. This is Audio Visions. It's their 7th album. It's came out in September of 80. That's the back of it. Audio Visions. Pretty damn cool cover, too. This is More Like It, Kansas. You know, this album has some great stuff on it. Relentless is a Kerry Livgren song. Strong opener. A little shiny, a little bit too polished. Nice guitar at the end. Anything for You is a Walsh song. Sounds flat to me. Steve sings well, but a bit Kansas by the numbers and not digging it. Hold On. Livgren's got some evangelist stuff into his singing. This is a plea to his wife. It's the first single from the album. It peaked at 40 on Billboard. Great song, a top track. Hold On, it's awesome off of Audio Visions. Loners next by Walsh, a rocker. Walsh being nostalgic about a former lover. Scorching guitars, short and sweet at 2.5 minutes. Curtain of Iron, another Livgren song. Walsh and Robbie sing it well. I love when Robbie Steinhardt and Steve Walsh sing together. Just such a perfect match. And then No One Together. God, that's such a killer song. I remember my brother Dennis was playing that in the basement. That should have been a huge hit, and it didn't chart. I don't think it was even released. Kerry Livgren's a genius, so we're going to get more into that. Backdoor, Walsh again. Um, not as strong. Good record though. Coming in at 9 is the reunion in 1999. The band got back together. Except we do have Billy Greer on bass and Dave Hope. Dave Hope only plays 2 songs on this, but the band gets back together for their 13th record on Magna Carta label, and they put out Somewhere to Elsewhere. It's a 68-minute record, so it's basically a double album produced by Kerry Livgren, Rich Williams, and Phil Ehart. Original band again. Never in the studio all together, though. So it's all done remotely, and it kind of sounds like that. This is good, though. Icarus 2 is a 7-minute and 17-second. All these songs, by the way, are written by Kerry Livgren. Kerry Livgren is the genius in this band, and we'll get more into that. Steve Walsh can write a song, but Kerry Livgren's songs are the great ones. A damn strong opener. Kansas tropes are all there. When the World Was Young is next. Dave Hope rocks on bass there. Walsh's voice is starting to show strain. Just okay there. Grand Finale, Robbie sings it. I don't like that song. So songs 2 and 3 are my big problems with this record. Maybe they should have cut those. The rest of the record I really like. Coming of Dawn, gorgeous vocal by Walsh. Tons of emotion. Myriad is next. Love this song. Kicks in at the 45-second mark. Very Kansas sounding. Anthemic, huge sounding with all elements of Kansas. Almost 9 minutes. Very proggy in the middle eighth. Wish the album was more like the song Myriad. Look at the time. Billy Greer takes the lead vocal. How about that? So Billy Greer steps in when Dave Hope leaves for the Power album that we just talked about in 86, and really plays all the way up till 2024 when he just finally stepped away from the band. He takes his first lead vocal with the band there, which is cool to let him do that. It's a good song too. Disappearing Tight Skin. Kind of a blues by Robbie on vocal, 7 minutes. Too long and one-dimensional. I dropped that too. I dropped track 2, 3, and 7, and you have just a 50-minute album instead. Distant Vision is a 9-minute freaking Kerry song. Kerry Livgren's the hero of this record. Steve and Robbie share vocals. Great track, amongst the best here. Distant Vision. Byzantium is next. Ambitious. Walsh's voice is fine here. Got a Middle Eastern vibe. And then Not Man Big is next. Long, little bloated. And, maybe you lose 2, 3, 7, and 10, and you have a 50-minute album. Coming in at 8. And now we're really getting into some great stuff. And I'm going to bring in Monolith. And another great album cover, right? For Kansas's Monolith. This is their 6th record. It's 8th on my ranking. May of 79, 41 minutes. Kirshner's CBS. Don Kirshner is the record company. Kansas produces this record. On the other side, opens up a Kerry Livgren song. Just a great example of dual vocals, again by Robbie Steinhardt and the great Steve Walsh. When they sing together, it's beautiful. The instrumental section in the bridge is just so proggy. Proggy as F is what I wrote down. People of the South Wind is the next song, Kerry Livgren. The word Kansas, or Kansa, means in Indian, people of the South Wind, and that's where they get this song. Walsh just delivers, really commercial sounding, almost disco-y, almost yacht rocky on People of the South Wind. I dig it, though it's a little bit shiny and nice. Angels Have Fallen. Robbie sings a song that Steve wrote. So Steve Walsh writes Angels Have Fallen, but Robbie sings it. That's interesting. 6 minutes, 40 seconds. Steve comes in on the chorus. Love it. The tone of the guitar sounds like Queen a little bit here. How My Soul Cries Out For You. Another Walsh song. Pretty song. Cool little drum solo in the middle of the song, which is, I'm not sure why there's a drum solo. is the band losing their way a little bit on this record? It feels like it. Even though this is better than the records previously we talked about, they are losing their way a little bit here, I think. A Glimpse of Home is the next song on side 2. First song on side 2, 6.5 minutes. Pretty cool with some modern synth sounds that I'm not crazy about. Seems forced. The band seems tired, coming off of 2 classic albums that precede this. Away From You, I don't really like that song. Stay Out of Trouble, it's a rocker, it doesn't really work for me. Reason to Be, a Carrie composition with Steve on vocals, kind of saves the day. It's an acoustic ballad, just in symphonic keys. Another Carrie Livgren song, Reason to Be. Coming in at 7 is going to be Point of No Return. Again, this is the album that precedes Monolith. Another great album. Point of No Return, of course, is a rock radio, FM radio staple. This was another Jeff Glicksman produced album. This went 4 times platinum. It peaked at number 4 on the Billboard charts. Prior to this, recording this, Steve Walsh briefly leaves the band because he's kind of having an allure towards the solo career. This comes out in October of 77. Point of No Return. What a great song. It's only 3 minutes and 13 seconds. So much happens within that time. Power pop rock heaven. Paradox is next. Livgren and Walsh. High energy continues. Positive vibes. The Spider, a little 2-minute song written by Walsh, fits perfectly in. The first 3 songs are just perfectly matched on this record. Portrait, He Knew. It's a Livgren Walsh song. It's a cool enough song. Raunchy guitar on it. It's really not a favorite of mine. Closet Chronicles is next. Another Walsh Livgren song. 6.5 minutes. Love when Walsh plays vibes. So Walsh is a keyboard player, singer, plays bongos, also plays vibraphone. I love when he does that. Carrie Livgren plays some clavinet synths on it. Fiery Fiddle from Steinhardt, badass instrumental section. Lightning Hands is next. Another Livgren Walsh songs. Robbie on vocals. Phil Ehart's playing notes on the drums. That's what my brother told me his roommate used to say in college. That Phil Ehart plays notes when he's playing drums. He's very precise. He's a great drummer. Production's kick-ass on that song. And then, of course, Dust in the Wind. What a great song. What worked out as a finger exercise that he would do as warm-up. His wife said, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh, it's just a finger exercise." And she said, "You should write a song around that." And he did. And, of course, that went to number 6 on the charts in January of 78. Sparks of Tempest is next. Doesn't do much for me. Nobody's Home. Love that ballad. Another Walsh Livgren song. Serene and beautiful. Helplessly Human. A symphonic. Classical. Is it overblown? A little bit. Coming in at 6 is their comeback album in 2016 with their new lineup called The Prelude Implicit. If you don't know these 2 records that they've done in recent years, you are missing out on some great Kansas stuff, people. This is this killer, produced by new guitar player Zach Rizvi, Phil Ehart, and Rich Williams. It's 53 minutes. It came out on Inside Out Records. This is kick butt music. Ronnie Platt's the new vocalist. So Steve Walsh is gone after 2013. Zach Rizvi's on guitar. David Mannion is on keyboards. Rizvi and Platt are credited on all songs except for Refugee. Anyway, we'll get into this. So Rizvi and Platt are writing most of the stuff here. With This Heart as a strong opener, everyone other than Greer gets a credit on that song, okay? Platt's a very solid singer. Platt has elements of Steve Walsh in his vocal, but he's got his own thing going, and it really works for me. In fact, I'm seeing them in September. Incidentally, I saw Kansas for the first time in the summer of 91. It was a brief period where Carrie Livgren was back in the band. So I saw David Ragsdale, Steve Walsh, Carrie Livgren, Billy Greer, Phil Ehart, and Rich Williams at that time. Saw him again in 92. Saw him again in 2009. Visibility Zero is next. Sounds even more like Kansas. Rizvi, Platt, and Ehart heavy here. Rizvi brings it. Platt soaring on vocals. It's hard to replace the Steve Walsh, but they really needed to. His voice was going. Rhythm and the Spirit is next. Rizvi, Platt. Damn strong song. God, Ronnie can sing. Refugees next. Mike Slammer. Greer. Mike Slammer was in the band Streets with Billy Greer and Steve Walsh. So Mike Slammer, they bring him out for a song credit with Greer, Ehart, Mannion, Platt, Ragsdale, and Williams. Darker song, pretty damn killer. Ragsdale shines here. Platt, again, shines here. Voyage of 8:18 is next. Rizvi, Ehart, Platt, 8 minutes and 18, just completely badass. Classic with a K, Kansas. Ragsdale, just love this song. Would love to see them do that live. Proggy as hell. Killer, no filler. Camouflage is next. Heavy, badass song. Another strong one by Rizvi, Greer, Platt, and Ehart. Summer is next. Everyone except Platt is credited. Damn, it's hooky. Another winner. Crawdad Isolation is next. Crowded Isolation, yeah. Whole band is credited. Heavy, prodding. Love the new lineup. And then the instrumental section 60 is next. This is really good. That's why it's coming in at 6. And coming in at 5 is the one that came out after it, called The Absence of Presence. This came out in 2020. David Mannion's now gone, but he's replaced by Tom Brislin. Tom Brislin and Zach Rizvi, Rizvi, are now the controlling writing partners in this band, and they're all over this. Mannion out, Brislin in on keys and vocals. Rizvi writes all the music essentially here, and Brislin basically writes all the lyrics on this record. Absence of Presence, the first song, is 8 minutes and a half. Tom Brislin, Phil Ehart, and Zach Rizvi picks up where the previous album leaves off. Killer Brislin keyboard solo. Song blisters at the 5-minute mark. Throwing Mountains is next. Brislin, Ehart, and Rizvi again. 6 minutes, 18 seconds. Heavier than the opener. Zach is a great writer. Rags just crushes on violin. Ronnie is insane on vocals. Fabulous. Jets overhead. Brislin, Rizvi, another winner. Band is on fire. Ragsdale is thriving in this new configuration. By the way, David Ragsdale recently left the band 2 years ago, I'd say, and Joe Denizon, the Jimi Hendrix of violin, has replaced them. Again, I'm seeing them in September. I can't wait. Propulation 1 is next. It's a Brislin song. It's a 2-minute instrumental. Just blast beats from Phil Ehart on drums. Killer song. Memories Down the Line. Brislin lyrics. The future is in good hands with Brislin and Rizvi. I'm telling you, man. Circus of Illusion is next. Platt and Rizvi song. Phil's drumming is so good. Time Changes in the Bridge. Another winner. Animals on the Roof. Brislin, Ehart, and Rizvi. Again, Phil is killer on drums on this record, people. Never is next. Rizvi, Ehart, Platt. Piano ballad, Works for Me. Song, the river sang. A Brislin song. Brisley's on lead vocals here. The only one. Classical piano opener. Brislin's vocals are pleasant enough. Totally different stylistically. Really cool modern prog song. Coming in at 4. And now we're into, well, these could all be interchangeable. Mask is coming in at 4. Their third album. Jeff Glicksman again produces. This is their second album of 1975. Came out in September of 75. It's a 40-minute record on Kirshner's record label, done down in Louisiana and Bogalusa, where there's alligators and armadillos crawling through the studio. It takes a woman's love, Walsh songs, saxophone on Kansas. I'm not sure about that. Sounds more like Boston than Kansas, but it's a straightforward rocker. 2 cents worth, Livgren Walsh, going for the hit a little bit. Not my favorite, but then the third song is Icarus, Born on Wings of Steel. Kerry Livgren is a genius, people. Just early in the morning light, soaring on the wings of dawn. Just a killer song. Walsh was born to sing Kerry Livgren's songs. Sail on, I will rise each day to meet the dawn, right? So high, I climb the mountains of the sky. I'm sorry about that. Brilliant, amongst the best songs in their catalog, and that's why Mask ranks so high. All around the world, Walsh and Steinhardt songs, 7 minutes. They share a vocal, a ballad, a power ballad. Gives way to Prog Fest, sweet. Gives way to fiddle and guitar, it's scorching. And then settles back into a ballad. It's really cool. Flip the album over, and we have Child of Innocence. It's a Livgren song. Nice contrast between Robbie and Steve on vocals. A mystical bridge. It's You is next. Walsh song, 2.5 minute, pretty solid rocker. Pretty badass tune. Mystery and Mayhem is next. My brother Dennis loves that song. Livgren Walsh, killer rocker with prog elements. Great guitars by Williams and Livgren. Great drums. Sounds a little bit like ZZ Top though too. And then the pinnacle, almost a Canterbury prog sound. Almost 10 minutes. Again, Kerry produces one of the epics here. Bigger than himself. Magical. Record company can't be happy, though, because it's another album without a hit. Coming in at 3. Song for America, right? You know, it's their second record. It came out it's the first album they did in 75. This is the one before Mask. Rolling Stone gave it a 1-star review. It's 45 minutes. Kirshner's record, Wally Heider studio in Hollywood. Down the Road, just a barn burner, Livgren Walsh song. So much in that little 3-minute and 40-second song. Western boogie with some elements of prog. And then we get Song for America, Kerry Livgren song. I mean, is there a more quintessential Kansas song than Song for America? I don't really think that there is. There's no vocals on Song for America until 3 minutes in. This solidifies Walsh as the vocalist of Kansas. As good of a vocalist as Robbie Steinhardt is, and he can sing. When he's put up next to Walsh, it's just no comparison. Just one of the best songs of their catalog. Just one of the best songs in American prog history. Lamp Light Symphony is next. 8 minutes also. Some of the pressure is relieved from the previous song, but we still have that epicness and that majesticness. It's a little bit darker than Songs of America. Robbie and Steve share a vocal here. Some people say that Kansas isn't a prog rock band. That's not true. The last 3 minutes is Symphony. Flip the album over. Lonely Street, written by Walsh, Hope, Williams, and Ehart. Almost 6 minutes. Blues rock song. Dave Hope is just booming on bass. Sounds like the band Free a little bit with Paul Rodgers and Kassoff, right? The Devil's Game is next. 5 minutes. Walsh Hope song. Not many Walsh Hope songs. When Kansas isn't being America's best prog rock band, they're a pretty damn good Midwestern rock band when they're not being America's best prog rock band. That's what I wrote. Just a killer vocal, killer fiddle. And the In Conundrum, Hymn for Atman is next. It's a 12-minute epic by Livgren. Lyrics are just great. Kerry is searching for life's meaning here. Multiple parts on this longest of all Kansas epics. There's a drum solo at the 7-minute mark. 1.5 minute drum solo. I'm not sure why. Coming in at 2, the debut, Kansas, 1974. Doesn't get much more Kansas than Kansas is Kansas in their debut album, Kansas. This is a picture that's in the state capitol of a guy named John Brown. And he was an abolitionist that came out in March of 74. It was recorded in 2 sessions in September and December of 73. It also got a 1-star album review by Rolling Stone. It came in at 174 on the Billboard charts. Can I Tell You, written by Walsh, Rich Williams, Phil Ehart, and Dave Hope. Right away, we get co-lead vocals. We get syncopated keys and violin. Just a perfect way to start off their discography. Then we get a J.J. Cale song. We get a cover of Bringing It Back. J.J. Cale wrote Cocaine, wrote After Midnight. Boogie Rock song, Robbie Crushes on vocals, inspired arrangement. I'm sure it was a favorite, probably live. Lonely Wind is next. We get a Walsh ballad. We get a killer Walsh ballad. They've been playing it live recently. Then we get Belexis. It's a Livgren song, just a jumping rocker with harmonies. Dave Hope is a monster. Some of the syncopated instrumental stuff that they do is so cool. Just the quick in-time stuff. Then The Journey of Mary Abron, Walsh Livgren song, Kansas Perfection, 8 minutes long. One of my favorite songs in their catalog, The Journey of Mary Abron. How proggy is that? It's so freaking proggy. It's sick. Musical Mind of Carrie Livgren is validated onto the world here. I mean, the drumming of Phil Ehart, just incredible. Pilgrimage, Walsh Livgren, Boogie Rocker, Walsh and Robbie co-sing again. Just having a blast. Almost Southern rock territory. And then Apericus is next. Livgren Walsh, 10-minute epic, full-blown light and shade, time signature changes. Robbie and Steve, just a treat to listen to. Each character, it's like Robbie and Steve Walsh are 2 characters in a play piece. Just ambitious as hell. And then Death of Mother Earth. Mother Nature is next. Livgren sung by Robbie. It's darker and heavier. Pretty cool song. Coming in at number 1. This video is long. I'm sorry, people. But I love this band. Left Overture. And I think it's number 1 on a lot of people's things. It's just so good. This came out. It's their 4th record. It got 2 stars by fucking Rolling Stone. Sorry about that F-bomb. 5 times platinum. October of 76, 44 minutes. Also recorded down in Bogalusa, Louisiana. Carry On, Wayward Son. Livgren classic. I mean, everything comes together on Carry On, Wayward Son. The record company's finally happy. They finally have a hit. This is their 4th record. This follows Mask. So much is packed into 5 minutes and 22 seconds. Rock, prog, epic, transcendent. Can you imagine being a fan of the band and going to the record store, buying this record and putting on that song, dropping the needle and hearing that? Unbelievable. The Wall is the 2nd song. It's my favorite Kansas song. Livgren Walsh. Played at my funeral. Played The Wall at my funeral. It's just a poignant masterpiece. Walsh played it every time I saw them live. Triumphant, inspiring, magnificent. The riches that I seek are waiting on the other side. There's more than I can measure. I mean, the music fits perfectly with the vocal, fits perfectly with the phrasing. It's just a great song. What's on My Mind is next. A great rocker, a Livgren song. Carrie can rock, and he can write epics. Nice, huge guitar solo in it, too. Miracles Out of Nowhere. By the way, check out their documentary, Miracles Out of Nowhere, that came out a few years ago. Another one of my favorite songs, a perfect side one. Livgren. It's my second favorite Kansas song. Best example of Robbie and Steve singing together is Miracles Out of Nowhere. Of the contrast of their voices. Tangible prog for everyone. It's prog rock, but it's tangible for the masses. Another masterpiece. It's just love and Miracles Out of Nowhere, people. That's all it is. Flip the album over. You have Opus Insert. It's a Livgren song. Livgren bought the band a career. I mean, there's no Kansas, I'm sorry, without Kerry Livgren. I'm sorry. As good as Steve Walsh is, as good as the rest of the guys are, there is no Kansas without Kerry Livgren. Walsh adds vibraphone again here. Just a magical song. Questions of My Childhood is a Livgren Walsh song. Walsh does his best. Billy Joel, the Entertainer, right here. Love it, though. Even though it sounds like The Entertainer by that had come out the previous year by Billy Joel. Cheyenne Anthem is next. It's a Livgren song. Robbie sings it, 7 minutes. God bless Kerry Livgren. I think Kerry Livgren's 72 years old. There's some clavinet there, piano, synths. May not be the greatest epic by the band, but it's damn good. And then Magnus Opus. The whole band gets a credit. There's 6 different parts to it. It's 8.5 minutes. How proggy is a 6-part song by a Kansas, and there's also 6 members of the band. Are each part for a band member? I don't know. The band empties the cupboard here. Light, shade, darkness, rock, ballads, soaring fiddle, guitar bombast. One of the great American bands. One of the greatest American prog bands. The greatest American programs. And happy 4th of July, people. That's my ranking of Kansas. I'm going to let you go. Peace out. Subscribe to my channel. See you.